Good morning. I'm Wendy Gates Corbett, and I'm glad to be a member of the worship team here at UUFR. Whether you are here with us in this sanctuary in person or whether you are joining us online, it is good for us to be together this morning. It's good for all of us to be together. As we gather this morning, I am delighted to share these words with you from humanitarian Albert Schweitzer. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Come, my friends, with our hearts open to both the challenges and the possibilities that this new day and this new week bring to all of us, with our hearts open to all that inspires, sustains, redeems, and transforms us. Come, let us worship together. Was beautiful. The flaming chalice is the symbol of the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the liberal religious tradition to which this congregation belongs. Will those of you here in person please stand as you are able in body or spirit for our chalice lighting. If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to light it with me at this time. As we kindle this flame, we recommit ourselves to nurturing the spirits of one another and the common good of the world we share. May the light of this flame be welcoming to all who seek a liberal religious home. For those of you already standing, I invite you to remain standing for our opening hymn. Our opening hymn this morning is number 118, This Little Light of Mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
special welcome this morning. Here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Raleigh, we are intentionally inclusive. We are liberally religious, and we actively work together to serve the common good of our shared world. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your own journey, you are welcome here. If you are visiting us for the first time in person this morning, I invite you to stop at our welcome stand in the foyer if you haven't done so already. You can fill out our visitor form, get a name tag, and pick up one of our pamphlets to find out more about the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Raleigh and Unitarian Universalism. If you are visiting with us for the first time online, I invite you to fill out our visitor form at uufr.org/visitor form. If you do this, you'll start receiving our weekly e-newsletter called The Chalice. This morning, Eleanor Goodwin, one of our lay ministers, will be available in the right front corner of the sanctuary after the service to speak with anyone who might be experiencing any difficult circumstances in their lives and would simply like to talk to somebody. I hope all of you have read and or will read The Chalice that comes out on Thursdays via email about everything happening at UUFR. One event that I'm taking the liberty to highlight for you is that many of you know that I have written a book on belonging, and I posted in The Chalice last week that I'm hosting a book launch party. Please come see me if you would like to join in the celebrations. You would think that I choreographed being the worship associate this morning, but it all just aligns that way. Our in-person social hour this morning will be downstairs in Founders Hall. I now invite you to meet and greet your neighbors. I hope that all of this welcoming continues. Oh, what energy in this room. I hope that this all continues after the service. We now enter a space in our service for joys and sorrows. This is a time in our service where we share some of the joys and sorrows in our community. We do this because we believe that a joy is made greater when it is shared, and we hope that a sorrow is made easier to bear. Barbara Busher's brother, David, died on Monday, January 22nd, after a period in cardiac intensive care at Duke Hospital. May we hold Barbara, her sister Linda, and the rest of her family in our hearts at this time of sorrow. Brenda Tilson Canada, oldest sister of UUFR member Bonnie Tilson and UUFR friend Susan Watson, died in her sleep at Shalom Parkside's Memory Care in Richmond, Virginia yesterday. She was 80 years old and a loving sister to Bonnie and Susan. Bonnie remembers the three sisters performing in the 1950s in front of a mirror, holding hairbrushes as microphones, singing out the tunes of the songs that they loved from Your Hit Parade, American Bandstand, and their collection of 45s. Bonnie and Susan, we hold you in our hearts during this time of grief. UUFR member Les Short shares that it was a year ago last Thursday that his dear brother passed away from heart failure at the young age of 67. He left a loving wife and two beautiful children. He loved life to the fullest, and Les says, I hope he knows how much he is missed. Dan Steen is scheduled for surgery tomorrow after a recent bad fall. May we lift up healing wishes for Dan. Bill Devereaux expresses gratitude for all those who gave blood at UUFR's recent blood drive. Bill says we exceeded our goal and reminds us that the next one will be April 5th. And lastly, Eddie Sackinger shares that he is thankful that his cat, Mercutio, will soon be coming home from the vet. As we hold these shared joys and sorrows in our hearts and reflect on the joys, sorrows, fears, and hopes in our own lives, let's be together for a period of stillness and in silence, opening ourselves to that spirit within us, amidst us, that is called by many names, but known to every human heart, that leads us to a deeper, fuller, richer experience of life. After the silence, we will sing hymn number 95, There is More Love Somewhere. But now let's be together in stillness and silence.
Somewhere is more joy somewhere.
The good that we do, the myriad ways we serve our communities, the differences we make in our shared world through UUFR is only possible because of the generous financial support many of us provide. If you would like to make a contribution this morning, we invite you to bring it forward and put it in one of our offering plates. You may also give using one of the methods that will appear on your screen. Our offer will now be received with deep gratitude. Both Reverend James and Reverend Sasha are away from UUFR this morning. Reverend James will be back in the pulpit next Sunday. Our guest speaker this morning is Jenn Kapranov. Jenn is a 2-year intern minister at the Community Church Chapel Hill Unitarian Universalist. She's currently a student at Meadville Lombard Theological School and is a graduate of Bennington College. She is a member of the Unitarian Society of New Haven. Please give Jenn a warm welcome to UUFR.
So I'm going to begin this morning with a reading. It is an excerpt from Pilgrim at Tinker Creek by Annie Dillard, and it is from chapter 2 on seeing. When I was 6 or 7 years old, growing up in Pittsburgh, I used to take a precious penny of my own and hide it for someone else to find. It was a curious compulsion, and sadly, I have never been seized by it since. For some reason, I always hid the penny along the same stretch of sidewalk on the street. I would cradle it at the root of a sycamore, say, or in a hole left by a chipped piece of sidewalk. Then I would take a piece of chalk and, starting at either end of the block, draw huge arrows leading up to the penny from both directions. As I learned to write, I began to label the arrows. Surprise ahead. Money this way. I was greatly excited during all this arrow drawing at the thought of the first lucky passerby who would receive in this way, regardless of merit. A free gift from the universe. But I never lurked about. I would go straight home and not give the matter another thought until some months later, I would be gripped again by the impulse to hide another penny. It's still the first week in January, and I've got great plans. I've been thinking about seeing. There are lots of things to see. Unwrapped gifts and free surprises. This world is fairly studded and strewn with pennies cast broadside from a generous hand. But, and this is the point, who gets excited by a mere penny? So, good morning. I am Jen, and I am very grateful to Reverend James for inviting me to speak to you this morning. I'm also grateful for the warm welcome from the staff and this community today. This is my first time living in North Carolina. I moved here at the end of August, and I have had the most marvelous time watching the seasons change from this perspective. One truly unexpected joy has come from a bird feeder that I hung outside my kitchen window. I don't know if there are any bird enthusiasts here today. But I've had a hard time leaving for work some mornings because I don't want to miss seeing all the different birds that are coming to visit me. I particularly love seeing the eastern bluebirds and the house finches. I get a particular thrill when I see a mourning dove. And I do not have words to describe my excitement when I see a red-tailed hawk just circling overhead. I sometimes have to pull the car over. So are there daily things that you notice that bring you joy? Are there moments that surprise you? And how does joy affect you when it comes? The reading today by Annie Dillard fills me with so much joy. There's something about the idea of a child hiding pennies, just praying that someone will care to stop and look. A glorious surprise waiting to be stumbled upon. Arrows pointing the way, written enticements, promises of riches, if only someone will see it. I've been thinking about seeing, Annie Dillard wrote. The universe does this for all of us. It invites us to see. Sometimes there are little sparkling joys that whisper to us, and sometimes they leap out at us like a surprise party, feeling deeply personal and handcrafted just for us in that moment. Like a magical, sparkling gemstone or a rediscovered friend. It makes me sad to think of all the joys that go unnoticed or disregarded, no matter how many arrows and signs point the way. Joys that are begging us to notice, if only we will look up, smile at a stranger, just pay attention. The title of my sermon today comes from a memoir by C.S. Lewis. I didn't realize that he got the title from a poem by Wordsworth. And it's quite a sad poem, in fact. With a spark of joy is a reminder of great loss. And joy and sorrow do seem to be companions in many ways. But in Lewis's book, he talks about joy as something that takes hold of us and is fleeting like a fragrance. Joy as something that carries an aspect of longing. I was really enchanted by that idea when I first read it. I found it difficult to verbalize what I mean by this word. I looked for definitions of joy and found two interesting ones, and I don't know that they absolutely align. The first one goes like this. The key essence of joy is connection beyond ourselves, with another person, a relationship with a supernatural being, some connection to something which is beyond ourselves. It has to have an element of transcendence to it. Happiness plus gratitude. That's by Professor Robert Emmons, a psychologist at UC Davis. Another one says that joy is fundamentally about a relationship with God, an expression that responds to times that when we see something in creation or in redemption or in salvation that suddenly makes sense to us. We get excited and go, wow, that's cool. Joy is both a steady state and a spontaneous reaction. And that's by Daniel Chua, who is a musicologist at the University of Hong Kong. So what brings us joy? For many of us, it can be the birth of a child, the adoption of a pet, a breakthrough or discovery in our research or in our art, or an event or an experience in nature. For some of us, joy comes from being of service to others. All of this holds something of the divine, a shifting in our reality. This morning, I would like to tell you about Shark the Musical. It was a product of a playwriting workshop that I did with 30 second grade students with severe behavior issues. We wrote it together with the music teacher at the school, and the kids performed for an audience of 350 people at Long Wharf Theater for the New Haven's Citywide Playwriting Festival. We worked together for about 6 months. Each child was invited to create their own character. Now, initially, the school administrators were skeptical about this project that it would work with this particular group of students. But the kids were so excited, so we said, yes, let's give it a shot. The final storyline went something like this. A young, handsome surfer boy lives on a small island with his family in a fishing village, right next to the water. There is also a beautiful mermaid who lives in the water near the village, and she is madly in love with the surfer boy. She circles around him while he is surfing and always compliments his style. He doesn't pay her much attention, so one day, while he's out surfing, she conjures up a storm, and he is thrown off balance and tossed in the water where he can see just how beautiful she really is. She gets a bit carried away, and the storm goes out of control. A very large wave carries the surfer boy away from his island. He plunges deep into cold, unfamiliar waters, well past the point where he could be safe. He feels himself getting pulled deeper and deeper, and just when he starts to become very afraid, he feels himself being lifted back up again, all the way to the top. And just as he takes his first breath in, he is surprised by a shark who asks if he is okay. Their eyes meet. They fall instantly in love. The shark helps carry the boy back to his island. They say goodbye, and they promise to see each other again soon. After this, the surfer boy sneaks out past the reef every chance he gets to meet with his new love, the shark. He knows that his family would never approve, so he keeps it on the down low. One day, the mermaid sees him sneaking off and gets suspicious. She follows the surfer boy. She is shocked by what she sees and immediately swims back to the island to tell his family all about it. His family are all together waiting for him when he comes home. They tell him that sharks are dangerous and evil, and he is never to date a shark again. Surfer boy says he doesn't care. He is going to marry the shark, and they are going to live happily ever after. The surfer boy's father yells out, "We don't marry sharks in this family." Surfer boy pays no attention. He heads back to the water with his surfboard. This time the mermaid is completely enraged. She offers to show his family exactly where they are off canoodling to break up this marriage before it happens. Meanwhile, the shark's family is equally unhappy with the announcement, and they decide to have it out with the surfer boy's family. Again, second graders wrote this. The human family takes off in their rowboats looking for the sharks, and they sing, "Look out for sharks, look out for sharks, look out for sharks, I say. They're mean, they'll bite, they'll get you in the night." Just then, we see the family of sharks swimming towards the humans in the boats, and they sing, "Those humans, they're deadly, they only want to fight." The families meet in the water. It's about to turn ugly when each of the mothers see how happy their children are together. They ask everyone to stop the fighting and listen to what they have to say. Both the surfer boy and the shark declare their love for each other and state that they are determined to be together no matter what. The mothers point out they don't like each other because they are afraid. They are afraid because they don't understand each other. The mermaid gets blamed for the whole debacle. and she is told to go away. The families eventually agreed to get to know each other and build a home for the surfer boy and the shark, partly in the water and partly on land, so they can always be together. The kids did a great job. They wrote the show and they were ready, but my goodness, these children were a handful. Rehearsals were chaotic to the point where the school seriously considered just not letting them perform. The night of the show, everyone was nervous. The teachers were nervous. The families were nervous. The children were very excited, but nervous. Everyone expected the performance to degenerate into a frenzy of kicking, hurling curse words, and flinging of objects. Now, I gave the children the same advice that I give all of my students at such performances. Don't worry. You made up your lines. Nobody's going to know if you messed this up. I also tell them it doesn't matter if they wet their pants, throw up, fall over. Their families are here because they love them and support them, and they don't mind if something goes wrong. I told them we believed in them and to go have fun. The show was hysterical. The mermaid's wig was tilting off her head. The shark's fins were pointing in all different directions, and some of the children were dancing around whether the music was playing or not. But they had so much fun. And no matter what happened, they all kept going. They wanted us to hear their story. They wanted us to listen to the songs that they wrote. They helped each other, and they got through it. As the children came out for their curtain call, miraculously, they all lined up, held hands, and took a bow in front of 350 people. And 350 people started clapping. After a few moments, the audience rose to their feet. People started calling out their children's names. You could hear a random, "That's my baby," coming from different parts of the crowd. The kids stood with so much pride and dignity. They absorbed a 350-person standing ovation, and it lasted for several minutes. The parents and teachers cried. I cried. But the children started dancing. The mermaid's wig finally fell to the floor, and the audience lost it. I saw parents that were so used to being told that their children were impossible or that they would amount to nothing see their children with fresh eyes. In that moment, the children weren't difficult, they weren't problems, they were special, they were wonderful. Their children were divine beings that held all of the magic and possibility of the universe inside of them. I saw parents fall in love with their children again. This was one of the great joys of my life. Joy took hold of me. Joy as connection beyond myself. Beyond the parents and the guardians and the cast and the audience, there was an element of transcendence. Happiness plus gratitude. A state of steady and spontaneous reaction. And it was a shifting in my reality. I've had the opportunity to see that joy in other places too. We held a holiday pageant at the community church. During the pageant, we saw children burst into song, and we had no idea they could sing. Children offer a special tenderness or kindness in an unexpected way. Dancing in the wings with total abandon, or seeing a quiet child just smiling from ear to ear because they were having fun being a part of something. They were seen, they were included, and they belonged. Each of us has these moments, not just with children. They can happen with our partners, our animal companions, our research, our art, our gardens, the world around us. There are moments we are given a glimpse into something fleeting and magnificent, and the experience is transcendent. Or we suddenly see something ever-present and also magnificent, and that experience can be transcendent. These moments of joy allow us the opportunity to fall in love with the elements of our lives all over again, experiencing them in a brand new way. So how do we prepare ourselves for joy? By being vulnerable, by being open, by knowing that loving something so deeply can hurt us, and still saying yes. Just saying yes. And by noticing what stands in our way: cynicism, fear, anger, self-protection, and distraction. So why am I talking to you about joy today? I told my sister that I would be speaking about joy, and she said, "Why? Who wants to hear about joy? The world is on fire." I said, "Yes. It does feel like the world is on fire. There are escalating wars in far too many places. Our planet is in crisis. In this country, you're entering a year of what I can only imagine will be extreme political unrest, tension, and fear. I don't think many of us know what tomorrow will bring. That's why joy is so important. In dark times, our tradition calls us to serve as a light in the world. Our chalice is a symbol of hope and sanctuary for those in trouble. As laws change and realities shift, many people are going to find themselves without a safe harbor. We are called to be that safe harbor. But when we are exhausted and burnt out, joy is what fills us up, keeps us going. Joy is the oil in our lantern. When we get tired, when we get frustrated, when we get angry, joy reminds us why we keep fighting. Experiencing joy reminds us that life is still worth living. Joy is a whisper from the universe, saying that it is made up of infinite and wondrous things that we will never fully understand, but of which we are a part. May we always pay attention to those whispers. May we always look for copper pennies. May we look for and remember those precious moments of joy that hold us together. I wish you all many, many moments of joy this year. As we move forward into the new year, and as we all pray for peace, may we all hold on to hope and to love. Amen. Blessed be. Our closing hymn is number 29, Joyful, joyful, we adore thee. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as you feel comfortable doing so.
As we end this time of worship together, may we do so with ever more love and joy for one another, with ever more gratitude for this precious gift of life we share this very day, with ever more peace in our hearts, and with ever more hope for our own lives and this world we share. Amen.